This is my new Pyxis cinema camera rig. I'm so excited to bring this one to you guys. I've had this camera for a few days now, I think a little bit over a week maybe, and the last thing that I needed was some of these parts to come in so that I could finally put this rigging video together for you guys. And I'm gonna do that for you guys in this video today and show you the top plates that I use, all the parts that I ordered, the monitor, the handle, all of the stuff that's gonna go on the camera. And then you guys will get to see it for the first time today as I put it together. This is literally the first time I'm putting it together too, so we'll both be building this at the same time. I'm so excited for you guys to see what I have picked out. I think I picked out some pretty cool parts. I think they all go together very well, and I'll explain the system and everything to you guys as I'm putting it on the camera, so you'll see it as I build it out. This, along with a bunch of other videos that I'm releasing on my channel, are gonna be all about the new Blackmagic Pyxis camera, so if you guys are interested in cinema cameras, rigging, color grading cinema footage, raw footage and files, I'll have those videos up on the channel as well. I'm going through trying to color grade and see how this footage feels from the camera and a bunch of other stuff that I've recorded as well. So if you're interested in all that, make sure you're subscribed down below to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when I post all new videos on the channel. All Pyxis stuff coming very soon to the channel. Besides that, let me just get some preliminaries out of the way. First, what were my intentions with this cinema rig and what did I want to accomplish with it? For one, I wanted functionality. I want to be able to attach a lot of things to it. I want to be able to build it out. I want to future-proof this camera rig so that if I decide to buy other parts or add stuff on later, then I wanted a system that I could build upon. I wanted a system that was flexible with a lot of mounting options, a lot of different attachment styles, and I think that I nailed it with this system that I bought for this camera. Now, disclaimer, you guys will see I bought pretty much all this stuff from Kondor Blue. That's the rigging stuff that I'm using for the Pyxis cinema camera. I'm not sponsored by them. They didn't send me any of this stuff. I bought all this stuff with my own money. So it was just all stuff that I thought would go well with the camera, that I thought presented the most amount of options that I had, also allowed for me to expand in the future as well. And Kondor Blue seemed to check all those boxes, so I invested in that cage system. I think I'll probably continue on with it and buy the rest of the pieces for the cage eventually as I need them as I go on. But for now, I'll show you the pieces that I have and what makes up this initial camera rig that I have. My second thing with this camera is I also didn't want it to be too complicated putting it together. I wanted the pieces to be sort of interchangeable. And once again, I think this cage system accomplished that as well. But I didn't want it where it was, I had to fiddle with stuff or I needed a bunch of individual little, keys and everything else just to be able to put the cage on the camera and take stuff off. And the most important thing was I wanted to find a cage solution that allowed me to power the camera, that allowed me to have a monitor mounted on the camera, that allowed me to add a top handle, and that had all the mounting points that I needed with a cage type system. Like I said, the things that I selected out for this initial rig that I'm building out right now seem to fit all those check boxes and works for me. It may not be what works for you if you're interested in getting this camera or rigging out another type of camera. It just depends on what your list of priorities are, and pick something and products that go with what you're trying to accomplish and what your goals are for your camera. Another topic I really wanted to cover in this video is why the need to rig this camera out. Like this one, for example, which is the one that I've been using on this channel up until this point. It's just a mirrorless DSLR body. It has a flip out screen. I can pretty much just grab this as is. I have the switch pod on it, and then you can just go with it and record something right away. One person operation, has autofocus, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you're coming from that type of body and if you're coming from that type of camera, this is gonna feel a little bit different for you. This is a cinema camera. This camera is really meant for productions. This really is meant for set. It's meant for you to be able to rig it out. There's a lot of mounting points on it. You can set up a cage system and expand from there. It gives you a lot of versatility in terms of, do you wanna build out this cage to put it on a tripod? Do you wanna build it out to hand hold it? Do you want a shoulder rig where you can carry it with you to record? These are all considerations that you need to think about before investing in the system and before investing in camera rigs, because you're gonna need something specific for each one of those scenarios. A shoulder mounted rig is gonna require the shoulder pad, it's gonna require the handles so that you can hold the camera mounted on your shoulder. If you want a run and gun type of style, I'll show you guys my cage right now, which I think is gonna allow me to hand hold the camera and carry it with me. So that's another particular type of cage system and handle that you're gonna have to invest in. But what this all boils down to for the most part is that this is a cinema style camera. This is a box style camera. It's not really meant for run and gun type of operations where you can hold it and record with it and have autofocus and do all of those things right off the bat. This is really meant for a set style workflow where you're setting the camera up, you're being methodical about your shots, you're planning all this stuff out, and the cage system and the power system, which I'll show you guys, I'm running everything off of a V-mount battery. All of that is designed specifically for this type of cinema body camera. It's a little bit of a different mentality, but if you're planning on working on a set, if you're planning on working on recording shorts, feature-length films, all that kind of stuff, it's a different type of workflow than when you're just a one-man band doing everything by yourself, running around trying to get shots real fast. So it just takes a little bit of a different mentality. It also takes doing some research as far as, will this camera meet your needs? But if it does, and you're interested in the Pyxis camera, hopefully this cage system and this rig that I show you will convince you one way or the other if it's worth investing in, or if this is a good cage system as well that might work for you if you have a cinema style body camera that you're looking to rig out as well. And along the way, I'll talk about some other stuff like the monitor, so hopefully that'll give you some insight into some of the other things that I added to this camera in order to make it functional. Anyway, with that being said, I'm gonna unbox all this stuff, so you're gonna see all of it. I'll take everything out of the packaging first, and then I'll build it out for you guys, and I'll tell you everything that I'm doing along the way, so let's go. All right, so here's the pile of stuff that I'll be unboxing today. We have the battery, the V-mount battery, the plates, all of the connecting cables, and obviously the monitor as well. Let's put that off to the side for a second. So here are the cables and also the rear mounted rail system, which the V-mount battery plate will be going on as well. All right, so let's unbox the small rig V-mount battery here real quick. This is gonna be powering the entire rig, so I wanted to go with a battery for now that was small enough that I could carry it with me to travel, and I think anything under 100 watt hours, I believe you can take pretty much on a plane or anywhere with you pretty easily. So that's why I got these ones. You can buy bigger V-mount batteries as well that'll power it for a lot longer, but just to start off with, I figured I actually got 2 of these, and they'll be able to power the whole rig, including the monitor and everything, for quite a bit of time. So I'm okay with these for now, and like I said, it's easy to travel with them, so that's why I went with these ones. These batteries have a DTAP port on them, which you can plug your DTAP power wire into, so that way I can power the rest of the rig based off of that. I'll be plugging the DTAP port directly into the Limo power port of the camera and then running everything off of this. It also has some useful inputs on the top here to charge, and then some USB-C cables as well, which you can use the USB-C to charge the battery. So a lot of options with this. I thought it had a good feature set for a V-mount battery. All right, so next up is the top handle. This is actually really cool. It has several mounting points on it as well. And then it also has cold shoes on it. So that way, if you want to mount stuff, including the monitor, you have plenty of ways to do it. The attachment, the way that it actually attaches is a NATO rail, which is really nice because it's very easy to slip on and off the cage system, which I'll show you guys later when I put it on. But that's why I bought this one, mainly for the NATO rail, and then also it just gave me a really good way to mount additional stuff and hold the camera as I'm walking around and doing stuff. So another really cool additional feature with this handle is that it has a little built-in magnetic spot here where you can keep a tool with you to tighten up all the screws and everything and do whatever you need to do on the cage. So that was really helpful. It's just a nice little attention to detail that with these little extra features that helps. All right, so next up is the mini V-mount plate. This one actually wasn't what I originally intended to put on the camera. I wanted to put the Pro V-mount plate on the battery. Unfortunately, it was out of stock and it wasn't going to be in stock for a little bit, and I needed the camera before then, so I just went ahead and bought this one. This is a mini V-mount, essentially just to hold the battery in place. It doesn't really do anything else special, but the nice thing about it is that it does clip on to the back mounted rail system that's part of this rig, which was going to be really beneficial for me because I didn't want to have to figure out another way to mount the battery on the back of the camera. So this ended up being a really good addition, and it fit into the current cage system that I wanted to get, so I just went ahead and bought it. When I get the Pro V-mount plate, let me know if you guys want to see that, because I can make another video on it. It's really cool. I believe it has like additional power ports and stuff where you can run power to stuff directly off the battery plate instead of having to detap into the battery and then figuring out how to get power to everything else. So if you guys want another video on that, just let me know down in the comments below and I can show you. As I get new gear, I'll probably make videos on this stuff showing you kind of how it all fits together and what the advantages are. All right, next up we have the top plates for this cage system. I believe you can also put these on the bottom. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't messed with it, but these are technically labeled as top plates. What's nice about this is that the Pyxis has a symmetrical mounting layout on top with all the screws. So the top plates are actually split into two different sections. You have the front half and the back half, but they're interchangeable because they're symmetrical. So that's obviously really nice. The cool thing about this is that each one of the top plates has a NATO rail. So you have technically I'll have a NATO rail on the front of the camera, but then I'll also have one on the back of the camera too. So if you ever want to attach like a bigger handle, like a like a production style handle, you can do that, and it has two NATO rails that you can mount the handle onto. So that was really nice. Obviously in this configuration I'll only have the one handle. It'll be mounted on the front rail, but that leaves the back open for whatever. Another really nice feature about these plates is that they actually have mounting points on the side of the top plates as well. So they actually have I believe it's like the area locator pins or whatever. So that way you can mount stuff on the like jutting out from the side of your camera as well towards the front and the back, which is really nice. That just gives you more mounting points. Really, with these cage systems, the more mounting points you have, the better it is, because the more stuff you're going to try to figure out how to attach later on, you're going to want mounting points for it. If you're very limited or it only attaches in a very particular way, it's just going to make it harder moving forward to try to mount additional stuff. And guaranteed you always find additional stuff that you want to mount to your camera because it's just useful. And then if you don't have a way to do it, that kind of sucks. So what drew me to this initially was all of the mounting points, which just makes it nice. It gives you a lot of options. All right, let's put those away for now though, and let's move on to the monitor. Now, this is the DCX3 Viltrox monitor. Again, not sponsored, but I went through and looked at a bunch of monitors, including, I mean, obviously price was a consideration as well, but I went through and looked at it. This one had the best set of features that I could see for a top mounted monitor, and it shows them kind of here on the side of the box, but I'll kind of go through them and explain them as well. This really just met all my needs. It allows me to monitor the camera. The DC, I believe there's an X2 and an X3 version. I got the X3. The difference is that this one has the SDI ports. It has an SDI in and an SDI out on the back of the monitor, which is really useful because the Pyxis also has an SDI out to monitor. So with the professional connection, I wanted a monitor that could also use it. So I went ahead and got this one. It's a little bit more expensive, not by much, but it is a little bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it for the professional features. And it also allows you to send an SDI signal out just in case you need to send that signal somewhere else if you're monitoring on a set, for example. It does come with all of the cables and everything. I think it's a USB-C cable and a HDMI cable, I believe, is included as well. I think it's HDMI to mini HDMI, I want to say. And then it also includes USB-A to USB-C cords and everything else. So it comes with a bunch of cords and options and stuff. It also comes with its own battery, which is really nice if you need it to actually power the monitor itself. And then you obviously get all of your reading materials. And yeah, like I said, it comes with this battery. I think it's like a Sony NP style battery. So, everybody has a bunch of those. You can use that to power the back of the camera, or you can use that to power the monitor. It also comes with this nice cold shoe adapter. So that way, when I'm mounting it on the top handle, for example, for me, I can just slot this in and then mount the monitor on top of this. So it gives me a nice convenient way to hold it. And yeah, it just fits right on top of the handle, just like that. And I can just tighten it in, and there you go. Now I can have the monitor top mounted on top, and it allows me to hold the camera and carry it. So, and then here's the actual monitor itself. I'll go through and explain all the buttons and stuff later, but it also comes with a sunshade, which you can also see on it. Actually, if I open it up, it just pops out like that, which lets you monitor in very bright environments as well. If you're outdoors in the sun, it's really useful to have this so you can see what you're doing on the monitor. Although this monitor is really bright. I think it's like peak 2000 nits, which is really good. You can probably see that outdoors even without the hood, but it obviously helps to have it anyway. If you don't need it, you can just take it off and remove it and then just have the monitor itself. But if you want the hood, it's a good option to have, and at least it comes with it as well. A lot of mounting points. It has one on the bottom and then one on the side as well if you want to monitor vertical, and then USB-C and a DC in to power it as well. Also a USB-A on the other side too, and then it has obviously your HDMI inputs. And then it also has nice function buttons on the top. They're nice clicky buttons, so that's good. And you can set it to whatever you want, false color and a bunch of other stuff that this monitor has. And then, yeah, the battery slots in the back. And then the reason why I bought this monitor, the two professional SDI ports that are on the back of this monitor too. And that'll allow me to send the SDI signal out of the Pyxis and right into the monitor. All right, let's set that aside and then go over the smaller stuff for the cage. So there's the back mounted rail system comes with a couple of things. One are these little screw-in things that kind of go into the back of the cage, and then you can mount the rails on top of these little things. So obviously, since I have two of them that the back battery plate's going to go on, there's two little things here that you can screw in, the rod support things, and then the actual rods that screw into them as well, two of those, and they screw in and they're anti-twist and stuff, so you know they won't be coming off. So two of those, which will be the back two rails, and then this cable, which is D-tap. I'll be plugging this into the V-mount battery, and then it has a 2-pin LEMO connection on the side of it, so that way I can plug it directly into the Pyxis power port, and this will be pretty much powering the whole rig. So that way I can supply power to the camera, and everything else that I need for now anyway will at least come from the V-mount battery. Let's attach everything now to the top plate, so that way when I put it all together, I can just mount the top plate and everything else will already be attached. So let me put on the rails first on the back mounted top plate. The nice thing about it is that you have this tool in the top handle as well that I can just grab, so that way I can put the whole kit together using this. No need for any other tools, which is, well, again, just these little things. Attention to detail is nice. And then the back mounted rail support pretty much attaches, and it has a anti-twist and like area locator pin and stuff, so they're pretty easy to install, and it looks like they're pretty solid. I don't think these will be coming off, especially with moving the camera around. I think this will be pretty secure. And now that we got the rail supports mounted on, the last thing is to screw on the actual rails themselves, and then this will be ready to go to put on top of the camera. And that's pretty much everything unboxed. Those are all the pieces that I had. So let's go over to the camera now. I'm going to mount it on the tripod, and let's get this whole cage system put together so you can see what it looks like. All right, guys, so that's pretty much the rig that I showed you, all of those individual pieces. Now it's time to put them together and put them on the camera. Essentially, what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that I had a handle somehow to handhold the camera and also be able to see what I was doing. So the monitor was very important for me. And then the other thing was to find a power source. The easiest way to power a camera like this for a long period of time without having to constantly swap out batteries is a V-mount solution. Yes, it makes the camera a little bit heavier. Yes, I have to charge a V-mount battery and figure out, you know, how to charge those, but it lasts for much longer than BP batteries that you can plug in internally here. Now, I believe this camera also has the option to hot swap, so I might still get BP style batteries and then put them in here simply just to hot swap V-mount batteries without having to power the camera down, take out the V-mount battery and then put a new one in. In terms of that, it's still useful. I just don't want to run the entire camera and all of the accessories that I might put on it with just a BP battery. I want to do that through the V-mount battery, just like on a professional film set. That way it can power everything. I can add more accessories to the camera later on and power everything based off of the V-mount battery still. Right now, the only thing that I have to power is the monitor going off of the V-mount battery for this setup that I'm running right now. If I want to add additional accessories or stuff that you can power on a camera rig in the future, I'm going to have that Pro battery plate. That way I have more outputs for everything else that I want to do power-wise. That'll give me more options in terms of mounting stuff and running cables and all that. In the future, one other thing that I might be looking to do is add rails to the bottom of the camera from a tripod plate on the bottom. You would have to get the bottom plates. Kondor Blue also sells those as well. By the way, none of this is sponsored. I bought all this stuff with my own money. I just thought it was a good solution. I saw it in several videos online, and I thought that the products that they had were a good solution for this, especially since they were one of the earliest ones out with stuff. I'm sure more companies will come out with stuff later, but they had all the pieces available to create a really good cage system for this camera, so I went with that. And it offers flexibility in the future as well. They have many more pieces that you can rig and take on and take off and assemble them in all sorts of different ways with combinations involving the top plates and the bottom plates that they have. Also, if you're ever thinking of sticking a matte box onto the front of the camera, you're going to need a rail system as well to be able to support the matte box. Typically, most of them, some of them are clip-on, but a lot of them also have rail mounted support. So that way it holds the matte box in steady in front of the lens on the camera rig. In order to do all of that, I'd obviously need to add a quick release plate, tripod plate down at the bottom, so that way I can pull the whole rig off the tripod and have the rails come off with it mounted the whole time. All right, so let's start putting the pieces on the camera so that way we can build this out and see what it's gonna look like. First thing is first with this rig, it's gonna need the top plates because that's really the thing that's gonna hold all the rest of the pieces in place. And that has the back mounted rails on top for the battery plate. It also has the NATO rail for the top handle, and that's how it's gonna hold the handle and the screen. So everything revolves sort of around those two pieces. So I'm gonna put those on first, and then we'll put on the rest of the parts after. All right, so here's the first half of the top plate. I'm gonna put this on. It just mounts onto the top 3/8 mounting screws up here on top of the camera. And I'm just using the key that comes with the Kondor Blue top mounted handle. I already have the back rod system installed on the back plate here. And then the only thing that's gonna go back here is gonna be the V-mount battery plate. So if I turn this back around, I'm gonna put the front half of the top plate on here. Now the front half of this top plate is gonna go on the exact same way that the back one went on. There's three 3/8 mounting screws on top here. So we'll just line this up. I really like this system because the plates are sort of interchangeable and I can do whatever I want on top here. And they have so many mounting points that regardless of how you decide to rig this out and regardless of how you decide to place stuff on top, there's pretty much a connecting point for anything that you're looking to put on top here. So, and I really like the fact that not only does it have the top mounting stuff, but if you look around the camera as well, it also has, which I have not seen on other top plates, but it has side mounting points. It has mounting points in the front, on the back as well, obviously with the rails installed in the back here. And again, on the other side as well, we have more connecting points here. So really good system, really good way to ensure that you have all of the connecting points that you need. A lot of them are anti-twist mounting points. So a lot of them have the locking pins and stuff, which is really good. So now I have the two NATO rails here where you can put handles. And so let's put on the top handle now next. Now the NATO rail has this little attachment here and it just tightens on. So we can just slide this on to the top here, and there you go. Now we have the top handle ready to go for the camera. It's connected here, it's secure, that's not going anywhere. So now I have the handle and the top plate installed. Let's put the monitor on next, and then after that, I'll put the battery plate on last, and that should be it. Now this camera monitor, the cool thing about it, and part of the reason why I grabbed it as well, it has different ways to power it, which is really nice. It has the HDMI ins and outs, but then it also has the ability to power it through USB Type-C and also the USB out for the monitoring too, which is really nice. But on top of all of that, because most monitors come with that, it also has these professional SDI ins and outs as well on the back here, which is really cool, especially if you need to monitor on set, send the video signal out somewhere else. You can do it from the back of the monitor here, and also use a secure SDI in connection to monitor straight from the camera as well, since the Pyxis has the 12G SDI out on the back of the camera here. So that way you get a professional monitoring solution all in one with all sorts of different monitoring points and attachment points and all that kind of stuff. Actually, the quarter 20 on here, you have one on the side as well. So if you want to mount this monitor vertical, so you can monitor video if you're ever doing vertical video or something like that, and you just want to monitor that way, then you have that option with this as well, with the quarter 20 mounting point on the side here. And then obviously the one on the bottom, like most traditional monitors, so that you can monitor kind of on top of your setup. Also, this monitor was not that expensive in terms of top mounted monitors that you can get for like on camera monitors. I believe this one cost me somewhere around $270, maybe $260, $270. So for all the features that you get, the professional outs and ins and all the monitoring stuff and the different ways to power it, I think that's actually a really good deal. I'll give you guys the specs. I'm pretty sure this is like 2000 nits as well. So it's really bright. You can definitely see it outside. You also have this sun hood that we talked about, which also allows you to see in very bright environments. So I think that's really cool. In terms of total feature package for on-camera monitors, this one really met all of my needs. So that's why I went ahead and ordered this one. And it was also relatively cheap when we're talking about on-camera monitoring systems. A lot of the other ones like Small HD are, you know, 1500, 1700, and you can go up from there. Obviously, those are really professional. They have a bunch more professional outs and monitoring options and everything. So those are more expensive for a reason. They're also calibrated a certain way. But if you're just looking to get started and you're looking to get a camera rig and be able to monitor your feed and what you're doing, this is a great start. I think it's really great. So I'm just gonna attach it here on the bottom 1/4-20 attachment and tighten this up. All right, so we got that secure, and then let me just tighten up this bottom one here as well. And this just attaches to the cold shoe mount on the Kondor Blue top handle here. So you have a cold shoe mount here on the front of the handle, and you can just tighten this down. And then it has this little adapter here for cold shoe mounts that you can then attach the top monitor to. So there you go. Now we have the top monitor attached as well. And the rig is coming together, so I'm really liking how this is looking so far. All right, now last but not least, we need the power solution for all of this to come together. That's gonna be this V-mount battery here by Small Rig, and I already clipped it onto this V-mount plate, so that way I can just install it all at once, but I'll take it off just so you guys can see the mini plate going on. It has these rail attachments on the back of the battery plate here, which will slot in real nice to our rear mounted rail system here. And I can just go ahead and tighten these little clamps here in the back for the rail system. And there we go. Now it's attached to the back rails here. You can see that there is a little bit of a gap here, but that allows you to put in a BPU battery here in the back. Like I said, if you want a hot swap, it also won't interfere with the running of this stuff back here, including the SDI outs that you have on this side of the camera over here, as well as, like right now I'm recording to an external SSD, or I'm going to be recording to an external SSD until I get some CF Express Type B cards. But until then, I put this here, and you can see I'm running a USB-C cable to the back of the slot, the input slot over here, and it's not, this battery plate doesn't hit it, so there's still a little bit of room here before it hits. So that way it's safe, and it keeps all your connectors available as well, so that you can work the back of the camera, which is really nice having this little spacer here in the back with these mini rails. So make sure these are tight on the back of the camera. And then the last thing is to clip this V-mount battery in. There we go. So now it's slotted into the back of the camera here. Last thing, put the D-tap cable in the back of the battery here. It connects on this side. D-tap to the 2-pin LEMO on the back of the camera, and that should be able to power the whole rig. So let me hook that up, and then I'll show you guys the final rig. So you can see I plugged it into the V-mount battery here with the D-tap, and then it goes down here to the 2-pin LEMO connector, which is now powering the whole camera. And then I hooked up this monitor with the USB-C cable to, there's a USB-C in over here to power the monitor. And the front of this camera has a USB-C viewfinder port over here that you can hook in a monitor to, and that will also power the monitor on top. And then the last thing that I need is an SDI cable that'll run to the back to get the video signal. So with that being said, that completes the rig. This is what it looks like. Everything's connected with the monitor, the top handle, the V-mount battery, and the top plates. Powering everything is this V-mount battery, which is nice to have one power solution for everything. So let me turn this camera around now. And the last thing to do here is to turn it on. And you can see the camera comes on. And then if I turn this around and turn this monitor on as well, there we go. So the monitor comes on, and now the monitor is being powered by the V-mount battery too, because I removed the battery, so there's no battery back here either, which makes the whole rig lighter. You're already running everything off the V-mount battery anyway. So this is my completed setup for now. This is what I'm gonna run with. And obviously I need to add a lens to the front, but this completes my first Pyxis rig. It's lightweight, it's everything that I need right now to power the stuff that I have on here and run with it, get some shots. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know things that you guys have on your rig that you think that I should add to mine, especially if it's something that I missed or something that you guys find very useful that I don't have on here yet. Let me know down in the comments below. Until next time though, go out and create something. La de vedere.